Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another podcast for Ready, Ted, Go. All things SEC football. It's nice and a little bit outside the box. Thought I'd come on tonight and do a mid-season review / outlook type thing. There's a lot of hot topics going on out there that we're going to address. Just kind of talk all things mid-season right now, coming into reviewing what's going on. Everything kind of from what we've seen in the first few weeks of the season. Just kind of talk about, hang out, kind of chit chat about. Maybe you catch it now, maybe you catch it later, type thing. So welcome everybody. If you haven't already, make sure and share this video. Go and like it on YouTube. It's on TikTok at Ready Ted Go SEC. And of course, right here on Facebook, Ready Ted Go. And man, a lot of hot topics. Going to dive right in tonight. Big news out of Georgia. Brock Bowers, high ankle sprain. So as we kind of hop right into this, a lot of as you just kind of look at how it all came out, on some rumors came out last night actually, and then more came out today, obviously. But as of around 11 o'clock this morning, they did. And at 9 o'clock, they were just talking about how they were probably going to look at what it would be like for him to get a second opinion, and certain things. And I do think when you look at the overall high ankle sprain terminology when it goes across the entire football league, NFL, college, it's a very, very naggy injury. You look back at Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama 3 years ago maybe. He had this tightrope tight surgery, and it did get him back within about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. He was back. So there's a lot of opinions out there right now. As of about 11:15 a.m. this morning, Georgia did report that Brock Bowers would be going and having surgery today. Obviously, I'm thinking they want to get it done quicker, sooner rather than later, because then they turn it around. And as I kind of looked into it a little bit, what this tightrope surgery is. If everybody remembers how it happened, it was in the Vandy game. It happened around the third quarter, and he went down, and you could tell he just kind of knows. You can tell he knows his body, he knows what he felt. He got up, tried to walk it off a little bit, which a lot of people said that was good news, because if he was walking on it, putting pressure on it, then it wasn't a severe one. My guess, if I'm guessing on this, is when he was looking at it and they were all talking, they were like, hey, do we sit here and doctor this and it not get better, and then we wait 3 weeks and have the tightrope surgery, and then we've basically, after that, we've wasted the entire season. We're probably, if SEC championship is in play, we may or may not get him back for the SEC championship, or are we looking college football playoffs, or we're looking at shutdown. Now I'll tell you, the type player Brock Bowers is, he's not thinking about the NFL right now. There are so many scenarios nowadays that have players now being able, with NIL, not even really looking to the NFL. I mean, look at the Caleb Williams thing going on, where he's like, I'm not sure I want to go to some of these schools. Some of these teams to become somebody who gets, used and abused, thrown in there, not developed, and for an offensive line who can't protect me, and I just get blasted every time I turn around. And then I'm going to go make, I don't know, $10, $15 million, and then I'm going to be all washed up and done. So when you look at the surgery that we're talking about where they go in on the bone and they fuse, they put some pins, or I've heard like buttons on top of the ankle, between the top and the bottom of the ankle, that relieves pressure off of that part of the ankle and allows it to heal quicker. Amarius Mims actually had this. Rumor is, don't fact check me on this, but rumor is there's a good possibility Amarius Mims could be back for Florida. If that was the case, Marius Mims is a 320-pound, 6'8" lineman. I want to say that Marius Mims went out against South Carolina. We played South Carolina, I think, about 3 to 4 weeks ago. So if everything pans out, I mean, you're looking at Brock Bowers. I mean, a lot of people have said, well, he doesn't block. He doesn't just block. And he does a lot of running, a lot of cutting, a lot of things of that nature. And so this could take a lot longer. I do know that Brock Bowers is not the type of guy, not the type of player and competitor to just go, this season's done. I think the reason why he didn't really, him haul around all day today was because they told him, hey, look, we can go in, we can get the surgery done, we can get the procedure done. I think the procedure's like an hour tops. So he's getting in there, he has no pressure on it for I think a week or two, and then he gets to start seeing what it can look like. So who knows? I mean, obviously, just starting to kind of look into kind of what that means for Georgia. Obviously, it couldn't be a better time to have a bye week going into Florida. So you get a week there, and then you get the Florida week, which, I mean, it'd always be great to have Brock Bowers against Florida. It would be great to have him. I mean, you are going into what I would call for Georgia the stretch run of the regular season. When you're coming in, you're going to play a neutral site in Jacksonville versus Florida. Then you're going to play Missouri at home, and then you're going to play Ole Miss at home. The good thing is you got 2 out of those 3 at home, and 1 is in a neutral site. So you don't have big road tests coming up. The big road test is Tennessee. Now, I've heard the outlook of, if this all goes well, do we see Brock Bowers back for Missouri? Honestly, I'll be quite honest with you. I think you see Brock Bowers back for Tennessee. I think you give him this week. I think you give him next week. I think you give him the Missouri week, and you give him the week of Tennessee. Ole Miss, and then I think you could see. I think you see him back for Tennessee. I think at the latest you see him back for Tech, if they even play him versus Tech. Maybe the goal is SEC championship. Lord willing that they win those games. They'll be favored in all of them. Even without him, they'll be favored. But the Georgia fan base right now is just, it's miserable. I get it. Brock Bowers could be a top 5 tight end in the NFL right now. He's probably arguably one of the best players in college football, if not the best player in college football. He does so many things that just a quarterback or just a wide receiver or just a running back doesn't do. I mean, he blocks, he runs the ball, he catches the ball. I have not seen him. If he has, I haven't seen it. He as far as throwing the ball, he's a leader on this team. It reminds me of a little bit of a Nolan Smith injury from last year. I mean, he'll be there. He's going to be leading this team. But, you got a lot of things, to look at right here. I heard a guy I follow on a podcast earlier. He talked about it. He's like, yes, it's very unfortunate that Brock Bowers is out. But man, oh man, what a year to load up at tight end. Knowing he's leaving possibly as a junior for the league. What a year to load up at tight end. Oscar Delp, Pierce Spurlin, Lawson Lucky. I mean, these guys had great. I know Lawson Lucky had an incredible spring game. You sometimes don't get a chance to see the talent that they have in all 3 of those guys because Brock overshadows it. I mean, do you need a little bit more from the run game? Yeah. Do you need a little bit more? I'll be honest with you. Right now, Georgia could just use consistency at the wide receiver position because I'll tell you, I mean, we've seen it in Ladd. But Ladd's still just working to get 100%. Adam Fisher says, let's go Delp, next man up. I agree, man. Delp is not – you're not going to find Brock Bowers sitting behind – after Brock Bowers, there's no more Brock Bowers behind them. There's different complexities of makeups of tight ends. And we went out and got 2 of the best tight ends out there as freshmen. There's a reason why they haven't just outwardly redshirted them. If you look back at Lawson Lucky just went through this same injury that Bowers is going through now. He had tightrope surgery. He went out beginning of the year. Yes, so you're probably looking at 6 weeks on him. But honestly, he could have been back 4 or 5. Personally, me, I think Brock Bowers comes back this year. I think he will be back this year. I think he's not going to be there for this run. I think if we're lucky, he's back for Tennessee. Um, that's what I'm saying. And here's my thing: Tennessee's gonna be a tough game on the road. You need a Brock Bowers. If you look at what Brock Bowers did at Auburn, he took that game over. Obviously with Carson Beck's help, but he took that game over. Him and Lad McConkey on some key third downs took that game over. But here's the thing: you got to have. I mean, it's gonna be great to have Amarius Mims back. If he's healthy, he will go. And Kirby's not going to let him play if he's not healthy, if he's not ready. There's no reason to. Obviously, it'd be nice because we really don't have a huge outlook on Xavier Truss. It'll be nice to have him for that help. Monroe Freeling did an incredible job against Vanderbilt. Um, so just there's a lot of positives. And the one podcaster I follow, he said, imagine this. He said, imagine if you get Delp and you get Lawson Lucky and you get Pierce Sperlin and you get some receivers around them more confident. You get some Arian Smiths actually catching. Arian Smith is a crazy fast talent, man. He has had some just bad drops this year, like bad drops. If that guy can just catch the ball and we can get Ladd more healthy and catching the ball, I do think Ladd's going to be that targeted guy now that's going to get some touches. And we're going to have Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint and hands like a snake, man. He just can't catch the ball, but he's an incredible talent. He just blows the top off the defense. But then it's like I have a feeling that sometimes Beck just looks and goes, is he going to catch it? You have Rosemy-Jack Saint. You just got so much talent at the receiver position right now. Ra Thomas, he's going to have to come out and play a lot harder and be a lot more of a factor. He had a lot of targets last year at Mississippi State. And then obviously Dom Lovett. He's going to be a factor now. We're going to have to get them involved. I do think the tight end game is still in play. I think Todd Hartley is one of the best tight end coaches in college football, period. There's a reason why tight ends want to come play for Georgia. There's a reason why there's 2 more 5-stars, 4 and a 5-star that's in line to come here in 2025 and 2024. So we're going to see what Todd Hartley's made of. We're going to see what Mike Bobo's made of. I think you're going to see a lot more, a lot less 12, 2 tight end sets, things of that nature. That worked for us too. Don't get me wrong. We're playing to the strengths. We're trying to hide Brock and we're trying to do things. And sometimes I think that our system is so much set up around Brock that it almost kind of sometimes it gives a pressure to Bobo to feel like, I got to get the sets where I can get him hidden and get him the ball. And I think we should run the ball more out of the shotgun. I think we should look at more 3 and 4 wide out sets. I think Carson's going to get let loose. It'll be interesting. The bye week will be huge. A great time to be able to implement an offensive scheme on a bye week. So that's the good news. And you get a week kind of free for him to get through that first week. I really think he's back no later than Tech. The reason I don't say I forget what game that is. It's the game right before Tech. Maybe it just is Tech. No, it's just Tech. I think you get him back by Tech. If not the SEC championship, Brock's not just going to wait it out. He's not just done. I think that he's an animal. I think he's going to recover fine from it, whether it's 3 weeks, whether it's 6 weeks, whether it's 4 weeks. Well, no. But if you do get him back in 3 weeks, you possibly, if he just was the poster child for tightrope surgery, you got week 1 off, week 2 Florida, week 3 Missouri, you see him back as early as Ole Miss. I don't think that's the game. I think it's Tennessee's the earliest. I think the latest is Tech. The absolute latest, don't want to mess around because they might not need him against Tech, is the SEC championship game. Lord willing, they make it. But I don't think this is Georgia fan base meltdown. I do see a lot of what Adam Fisher's saying is next man up, Oscar Delp. I see that. You can't replace a Brock Bowers though. You can only now the tight end position, I don't know, man. It might help Bobo a little bit. Like it might. It could. We'll see. So that's definitely a storyline going into the off week. A lot of big games. Obviously, we'll use tonight to kind of review the games, not as in detail as we have before, but as normal. But just talking about midseason outlook after some of these results this past weekend. Obviously, Missouri pulls one out against Kentucky. Kentucky just falls apart. Devin Leary, midseason outlook, Kentucky is grim. We're going to look at the schedules remaining for the top 3 teams in each side, and Devin Leary is awful looking right now for Kentucky. Awful. It's almost making that home win against Kentucky just not even look good anymore for Georgia. Tennessee held off Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M, they just couldn't find any kind of, I don't know, man, flow. I can't pinpoint it, man. Texas A&M is they're lined up for a disastrous season. There's been rumor that there's that whole meeting of the minds thing going on right now over at Texas A&M. What it would cost? They know what it would cost to buy him out, but like, should they do it? Is it now? Is the right guy on the market type thing? A lot of Deion Sanders vibes flying around there to go to Texas A&M. A lot of injuries for Texas A&M happened that game as well. Nolan, the big guy, Nolan, his injury looked pretty nasty. Obviously Max Johnson, he's flailing on the ground. Adam Fisher said KJ Jefferson. Yeah, man. Like, I think I said it last week. Can they block for that guy? Like, the guy's throwing college athletes on the ground. Like, they can't give the guy. If you can give KJ Jefferson, go back and listen to. And I think Adam, you might have been in here. They can't block for the guy. Like, I don't understand, man, because that's Pittman's baby, his offensive line. Like, that's his thing. That's his thing. He recruits offensive linemen. He gets into the league. Obviously, he's been a head coach the last few years, and so it's a different avenue. But I don't know, man. Auburn, man. I wanted Auburn to show up. I picked LSU in this game, but I wanted Auburn to show up so bad. They didn't. So holding on to that 0-3 now, they got to go play Ole Miss at home next week. Still looking for their first SEC win. Florida, South Carolina, dear Lord. Like, Florida, like, I don't even know, man. Like, South Carolina, Shane Beamer, is he now, like, this was supposed to be his year. This was Spencer Rattler's, like, coming out party, Heisman Trophy push. And then the defense and the offense, like the whole team just act like they didn't even know where they were. I don't know, man. Shane Beamer might not be the guy in South Carolina. I know South Carolina can recruit. They might not be the guy. And then Arkansas, I mean, as Saban said it best. He was just like, we didn't do anything. We beat the other team, but we didn't win a game. I like how he put that. And they didn't. I mean, they were up. I think they were up 21-6 at one point. They let them get back in there at 24-7. And then basically from there, it was like Arkansas just did what they wanted to do for a little while and made it a game. Then Georgia Vanderbilt, 37-20. I mean, if you look, Vanderbilt put up 7 points in the first quarter and 13 in the fourth quarter. I mean, Vanderbilt's had a good offense. I think Adam Fisher texted me during the thing and said, "Where's AJ Swan?" I don't even know where he's at. Maybe they benched him because the kid from Vanderbilt looked good. I forget his name. I'm surprised I forgot his name, but just overall a very lackluster weekend. I mean, Florida gets a big win before a bye week. But man, South Carolina's bad. South Carolina's another victim of not being able to block anybody. Like, nobody. This weekend is going to be very interesting. So when we look at this weekend, but as we keep on this midseason outlook, let's look at what every team has that I think for the rest of the year. Let's start out with who I think's 3 right now. Who's the legit 3 in the West? I think that's Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss probably has the worst road the SEC West, winning the SEC West because they've already lost one to Alabama. Um, they beat LSU, so that's good. But they still got to play Georgia, and they still got to play Auburn. So I think when you look at the outlook on Ole Miss sitting where they're at right now, um, I mean, man, I got them. I got them at Auburn. Arkansas's a win. Vandy's a win. Texas A&M. I don't know, man. That could be the Jimbo Fisher firing right there. Georgia, I don't see it. Mississippi State, yeah, I see it. I don't see. I think it's LSU. I think it's LSU and Alabama. But guess what, man? You got that game this weekend. So you got Alabama, LSU this weekend. It could really hem things up because that means that all of them would have beat each other up. So it will come down to head to heads, and it will come down to what you've done. And with LSU, I think LSU has to beat Alabama, and then that puts LSU in. So I think the best team right now in the West that can give Alabama the run for their money is LSU because LSU has Alabama, and I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm talking about the wrong thing. It's actually Tennessee and Alabama this weekend. My apologies. That game is coming up in 2 weeks. But this weekend, when you look at it though, that it's happening soon, and I don't think LSU has any other games that I think can stump them. They don't have to go over. I mean, they got Alabama, they got Florida. I think Florida's a win. Texas A&M, I think, is a win. Um, LSU looks great right now. They look great right now, in my opinion. I do think that Alabama is still my pick for the West. I think midseason form, the team I'm most disappointed in is Arkansas. But I did pick Arkansas. I mean, I should have played this my first show tonight, but I picked Arkansas to finish dead last, and they're, I mean, between them and Auburn, I think we were right there. I think I had it Mississippi State in there. I think I had Auburn as sixth or whatever, but and Arkansas right now. I mean, Arkansas is just rough right now, man. Really, really rough. They've lost a ton of games, within a touchdown. So that because I still think, but outlook on all this is, I think Auburn still. I mean, Ole Miss has to play Georgia. LSU is going to have to play Alabama, but that's it. I mean, that's really all I see left for them. Hopping over into the East, I think it's still a little bit touchy because Georgia has their hardest run. I do think that the third best team is still Missouri. I think Tennessee is the second best team. And I think Georgia still has everything to lose. I think the biggest threat to Georgia is Tennessee, and Tennessee because it's in Knoxville, it's at Neyland. I think Missouri will be a tough game. Everybody's going to get Georgia's. People were talking about the Vandy game this weekend, and I'm like, I don't want to sound just outlandish right now, but everybody is going to give Georgia their best game. They have a 23-24 game winning streak. They're back-to-back national champions, and here they are sitting at 6-0 this week. So I mean, everybody's going to give Georgia their best game. Vanderbilt has, they said it numerous times, Vanderbilt has a ton of playmakers on offense. The defense is not very good. But I do think that you saw what you were going to see. I mean, Vandy gave Florida a run for their money, in my opinion, a little bit. I mean, I haven't seen, let me let's dive back really quick and let's just look at Vandy's, let's look at who they've played. Because let's just be fair. I mean, as we sit here, like I'm telling you, Florida is, I think, the fourth best team. I think Georgia has their biggest run right here. They got four. Because I think Kentucky beat Florida bad. No, I think Kentucky's in there. Maybe the fifth best team. Kentucky's four, but if Kentucky doesn't get their crap together, man, they're going to have the best start they've ever had and the worst finish they've ever had. I'm trying to click on Vandy right now, but I'm not getting any help from this. It's okay. I'm curious to see what Vanderbilt has done. Okay, so Kentucky 45-20. So they dropped 27-28 on Kentucky. They dropped 21 on Missouri. They dropped 14 on Florida. They dropped 20 on Georgia. So it ain't like they've been getting shut out this year. Like it ain't like Vandy's just been not scoring. I mean, if you look at anything, they've been giving up a lot of points. They gave up 45 to Kentucky. They gave up 38 to Missouri. They gave up 38 to Florida. They gave up 37 to Georgia. I feel like Georgia played them as good as anybody else in the league played them. I don't know the whole thing with that. If anything, you look at Tennessee. I don't know, man. I think I picked Tennessee in that game. I think I was wanting obviously Texas A&M to win that game, but I think when you look at Tennessee, a lot of people are calling for Joe Milton, because the defense played lights out. The run game was incredible, and so a lot of people are calling for that backup quarterback from Tennessee. I think his name is. He has an interesting last name, and I don't want to botch it, but I'm looking for it right now. But I do think that, like Tennessee, the reason why they post the biggest threat is because it's at Neyland. That's it. Um, Either way you look at it, it's Georgia's. It's the East is Georgia's to lose, and the West is Bama's to lose. I mean, that's all it is to it. I think Georgia has a little bit more of a test left. They have a good Missouri team, a fairly good Florida team, in my opinion. They looked good last week, or did South Carolina just look that bad? I don't know. And then Missouri at home, and then Ole Miss at home, and then they go to Tennessee. So yeah, I mean, when I look at like players that have really stuck out to me, man, I mean, you can't look past Jaden Daniel at LSU. I will say I was wrong about that one. And I really think I was wrong about that one. I thought that Nussmeier would be in there by now. I think the biggest thing that's happened with LSU is he's done a lot. He's been able to do a lot with his legs, and that's just shown a lot as far as his versatility, his ableness to get receivers open, all things of that nature. They have a great offense at LSU. They have a terrible defense. I mean, that's what I think it's going to come down to is the lack of great defensive play from Alabama, from LSU, and the great offensive play right now from LSU, and the less than phenomenal, offensive year for Alabama. But I still think they're Alabama of old as far as defense. I think the defense has looked really good this year, but they played good ball when they had to. And then obviously you don't really get a good hand on it because they played Texas well, but Texas has now dropped one. So midseason kind of looks as we kind of expected when we look at standings real quick. When we look back at standings from the beginning of the year, definitely had Alabama. Taking the West. LSU was second, third was Ole Miss. That's kind of how it stands as we speak. And in the East, I had Georgia. Missouri. Sorry, Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri. Crazy enough, right now, just pulling this up, and the only reason is because they have one more win. Florida is actually sitting second in the SEC right now, SEC East, with their sole loss to Kentucky. So I don't know. I mean, the Georgia Florida game is always Georgia Florida. Like, it's the world's largest cocktail party. It's neutral site. There's a lot more. You're going to hear Brock Bowers. You're going to hear Brock Bowers 110. You're going to hear Brock Bowers more the Georgia Florida game than he did if he was in there because of and I can already tell you what Kirby's feeding the team. It's like we're not built around one player. We love Brock. He's an important part of the team. He's going to be there. He's going to be coaching them up like crazy. He's going to be in Delp series. He's going to be in Lawson Lucky and Pierce Spurlin's ear, and he's going to be there, and he's going to be a huge force, not on the field, but at the end of the day, like, Georgia's not built around one player. They never have been. And you've seen some key players go out. Branson Robinson was going to help us a lot this year, but you saw last year when Jalen Carter went out, how parts of that defensive line and Nolan Smith went out, stepped up. And, you've seen some times when, the running back room this year has been severely just what is it really look like? I mean, Milton looked like the Milton of old for like 2 quarters at Vandy, and then he got shut down. Did he get shut down because they didn't want to see anything else go wrong, or did he get shut down because he had to get shut down again and he's kind of backtracking to the same stuff? You just really don't know. But standings right now, I mean, this is kind of how we called it in the East. Only difference is Florida's in second because of more wins, but Georgia, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee. I had it Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri. They all have one loss, so it's pretty much as advertised right there. Vanderbilt coming in last. That was picked. Kentucky. Everything else is pretty much in line. I think I had South Carolina actually finishing ahead of Florida. Then midseason, Alabama's obviously 4-0 at first. LSU's 4-1 with their only loss being to Ole Miss. Ole Miss 2-1, still has everything ahead of them, but has some tough games. They're still going to play. They've already played Alabama. They've already beat LSU, but they're still going to play Auburn. They're still going to play Mississippi State. They're still going to play Texas A&M, and they do have to go to Georgia. And that, I mean, Georgia has a tough. I mean, look at this, man. It's geared up to be. Florida has a run. I mean, Georgia has a run that really nobody saw coming. Nobody saw Florida sitting where they were this time 6 weeks ago. Georgia has a very tough schedule remaining. And to lose Brock Bowers, they're going to have to really dive deep into leadership. They're going to really have to dive deep into scheming and game plan. And honestly, just to be honest, the defense is going to have to play a lot better than they played. The things that were done different against Kentucky that were not done all year is the defensive line play was remarkable against Kentucky. Not necessarily from a pressure standpoint, but just from a containability factor against the run against Ray Davis. I saw some small spot, some skeptical stuff of that defensive line showing up and not getting. We just don't have the defensive line of old. I think the linebackers are still very strong. I think the secondary is still very good. But we're going to have to win some battles up there. If you remember the Jordan Davises and the Jalen Carters, they used to draw 2 people. We're not doing that now. We don't have anybody that said when we're sending 3, we're not going to get there. When we're sending 4, we're man on man, and we're getting lucky sometimes, but we're getting our best pressure when we're sending 5. That puts the secondary and our linebackers in a really hard situation, especially when you're talking about quarterbacks in the SEC who have great legs, the Jackson Darts, the Graham Mertz, the Brady Cooks. When they have good legs, it's gonna put Georgia in some weird situations. They're gonna need the defense. I think out of everything we've seen with Brock Bowers going out the next 4 games, we're gonna need the defense to really stand up and really make some plays, and special teams is gonna have to be solid. I think that's going to be the difference maker. But it's been a really incredible first part of the year. A lot of things we could talk about, a lot of junk we could talk about. From, do I still think Jimbo Fisher is on the hot seat? Yes. Do I still think LSU is? I just don't know, man. The defense is just not good enough for me to put LSU as a scary opponent right now. They're in a great situation right now. But they just don't have enough, I don't think, on defense to warrant being a great team. They're sitting in a great spot. A lot could be said about the fact that if their defense didn't wet the bed against Ole Miss, this would be a completely different ballgame right now. And it's just we said it. There's 4 and that's it in the West. I mean, Auburn and Mississippi State, could it end this way? It very well could be that Auburn with 3 losses ends up being higher than Texas A&M. Mississippi State still got a lot ahead of them. Arkansas is taking an absolute beating this year. Good thing for Hugh Freeze that Sam Pittman's around this year. So yeah, interesting first half of the year. Obviously, could not have ended worse for the first part of the year than to Brock Bowers to go out. Florida Gators are getting healthy, getting a rhythm about themselves. Missouri is starting to find an offense. That's what's making Missouri good this year. Defense is still consistent, but they're starting to find an offense. Although I don't feel like their defense showed up against LSU. Tennessee, it's still a question. Is Joe Milton still the guy? But they're running the ball incredibly well, and their defense looked really good against Texas A&M. Kentucky, Devin Leary is terrible. He's awful. He's so bad right now. I don't even think people. I think the reason why their run game has gone down in the last 3 games is because people are like, I'm going to lose the game. I'm going to lose it because Devin Leary beats me. And I don't think he can beat me. South Carolina can't get out of their own way. They can't block anybody right now. They have the Arkansas effect. You know, Spencer Rattler needs more than 3 seconds to throw the ball, period. And Vanderbilt, I mean, flashes of greatness. They have good athletes. They're getting better. They really are getting better. The offense looked a lot better. But I think Vanderbilt's still a ways behind. Alabama, they're coming on at the right time. Jalen Milroe is getting it together. I think the offensive scheme is being played and plotted around him. LSU, the defense just has to get better for them to do more than just win. I mean, they're going to have to play Alabama, and that defense is not going to. It's going to be a defensive battle, and I think Alabama still wins that. So I don't know. I still got them with their second loss against Alabama. Ole Miss, man, who is Ole Miss? I really don't know. I don't know who Ole Miss is. I know they have an incredibly wide open offense. Sometimes it looks so potent, but the defense can't. The defense isn't doing much to keep them in the ball game at all. Texas A&M can't get out of their own way, man. Bobby Petrino was the worst hire I've ever seen at Texas A&M. I don't even know. Max Johnson was on his back 10 times out of the 15 times that he needed to make consistent throws against Tennessee, and it just didn't happen. And Petrino's offensive game plan was just bad. It was bad. Mississippi State, I don't know how they are. The offensive, I think they were going to do this when you're off of Mike Leach and redoing the offense, and it's complex. Mike Leach's offense gets you more into a street ball type atmosphere where it's a little bit more routine. It's a little more rote and routine, and whereas this offense this year for Mississippi State and Will Rogers is a little more in depth, and receivers have to know a little bit more about what's going on. Ra Thomas figured that out when he came to Georgia. He's like, man, I had to learn the offense because our offense was on a little post-it note with 5 plays. And then Arkansas, man, they just can't block anybody. The defense played pretty dang good against. I thought they played really well against Alabama. I thought they held on to it. I thought they did what they needed to do to keep the score low. But KJ Jefferson, man, when you're having to throw grown men on the ground, grown college men on the ground in order to get passes off, and you are doing it, that says a lot of it about what's going on at Arkansas. I don't know. I don't know if Pittman can use the excuse of he's trying to get his staff together this year, but we shall see. But thanks everybody for joining on another a midseason outlook, Ready Tech Go podcast, talking all things SEC football. We'll see. Prayers are out there for Brock Bowers. Man, I hope for a speedy recovery. Obviously, just for future, not for near future or far future, just for health for him. He's an incredible player, and we all just want to see him healthy at the end of the day. But I do think that the Georgia fan base can put the brakes on freak out mode right now. 3 really good tight ends. Three really good tight ends. People would be lucky to be like, man, we got Oscar Delp. We got 3 really good tight ends. They're not Brock Bowers, but we're in good hands. I think that we will be fine. Obviously, we will be better with Brock, but I think we will be fine. But a lot of games in the next 3 weeks that are going to be crucial for Georgia, for Alabama, for Tennessee this week. Tennessee, Alabama this week. Man, we're going to pick that game on Wednesday. Join me Wednesday night as we pick all these games, and a little mailbag going on Wednesday night. I think will be fun. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. You guys have a great night for the Ready Tech Go. We are out. Bye-bye.